Hey guys, thank you so much for joining us today. We are Vacay Mode Travels. That is Sarah. I am Alden. We have a good one today. We're going to go over the top 10 destination wedding questions that we get asked. So many questions that go into a destination wedding. Where to start? When should I send invites out? Who pays for this? What's the cost that we can expect?
You're giving it all away.
I know. But we're going to go over a lot of the main questions that we get asked, and hopefully some of these can help you out.
And just the most common questions that couples ask in general when they're considering planning a destination wedding. So we want to get you started on the right foot, know what to ask, give you some good information so you can decide if a destination wedding is right for you.
Yes. So let's start with the first one. Who should you invite to a destination wedding?
Yes, for a destination wedding, keep in mind it is more intimate. So most couples tend to rely really close on their inner circle, family, friends. But as with any wedding, it's always whoever you want to be present at your special day. Keep in mind that only 50 to 70% of who you invite is actually going to show up for a destination wedding. I know it's very common that when people send out like an initial, maybe an evite, they get a ton of yeses back, and a lot of times we hear, oh my gosh, I got way more yeses than I anticipated, which is great. Keep in mind that a portion of those do tend to fall off over the course of the year or 18 months during the planning process, whether it be time off, passports, costs, whatever the reason. We do typically see that number land between 50 and 70% of who you invite is actually going to attend. So keep that in mind when you're planning your budget and your destination wedding.
Yeah, and you've heard us talk about the ABC list. Tier A, your direct family, those friends that
your ride and dies.
You know they're going to show up for sure. The B people are more acquaintances, kind of a coin flip. If they're going to show up, RSVP, yes. And then C tier is those, it's really just a long shot.
Family, friends,
you might not.
Coworkers.
We've also had some bridal couples also have kind of a standby list. Let's say they were had a lot more yeses than they were expecting. Then they'll send out either more invites.
You mean no's?
Or more no's than they were expecting. Then they'll have some people on standby that they're really on the fence about inviting, and they may or may not invite them at that time.
Yeah, so they'll just send like a second wave of invites out if their guest count is looking a little lower than they thought. Again, it's always important to do what's right for you. This is why we guide couples through all of these big pieces during the planning process, but just want to give you some tips and tricks to get started.
Question number 2, who pays for guests at a destination wedding?
Yes, guests are typically going to cover their own travel costs. So flights, their hotel, any personal expenses that go along with that. It's more customary for the couple to host the actual wedding events. So the welcome parties, maybe a welcome dinner, the wedding day celebrations. Sometimes two couples will opt, since they had so many friends and family, decide to invest in attending their celebration. Some couples will opt to do some kind of a group activity, maybe a catamaran or some kind of an excursion. Of course, that is completely optional.
Yep. Or they'll also have it where they say, no gift, just your presence being there is your gift. Kind of helps offset some of those costs for your guests. Question number 3, how far in advance should you plan a destination wedding?
Ideally, you want to plan 12 to 18 months in advance, and the earlier the better when it comes to destination weddings, because you're going to get better resort availability, you're going to get better pricing, and you're going to have more time for your guests to prepare and pay for their trip. In addition to that, you're going to be able to get your top pick of venues and days and times. Now, you may be at your wedding venue or resort for 5 days a week, but it is very nice if you do have your celebration. A lot of times couples will opt to do this on either like a Friday, Saturday, or a Sunday, or even a Monday, just to help for their guests so they don't have to take as much time off of work.
Yep. 12 to 18 months, especially if it's a more popular resort. We have some resorts and really hot venues that people want already booking into 2028, just to give you an idea of how in demand they are. So the further ahead that you can do, or even just if you're 2 years out from when you're considering getting married, just touching base with us, so at least we kind of have an idea, or at least put some feelers out there for what some available dates are for certain venues. So the sooner the better.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean that you actually have to start planning everything 2 years out. We just want to get your resort and venues locked in so your guests have the pricing, we get all of those things in place. And then it is more common to start the wedding planning, 12 to 15 months prior. We get better responses from the vendors, and that way it gives you time to truly nurture and develop your wedding vision in between.
Number 4, when should you send destination wedding invitations?
All right, we're going to break this up into 2 subcategories because there's really 2 ways you can go. Save the dates are going to be the most important. That's going to let people know to where you're planning to get married, what the date, the destination, the resort details, and you're going to include the QR code for the page we're going to set up for your wedding. Now, you want to send this out 12 to 15 months in advance. That is so your guests can properly plan for work, time off, financial, all of those things. The optional second part of this is to send formal invitations. And this is hit and miss. Some couples do this, some couples don't. It's totally up to you. But if you opt to send formal printed invitations, most commonly printed, you could also do them you would send this 3 to 4 months before, and this would include more of the itinerary, the event details, the schedule, the dress codes, more of those finer details. Now, we're going to have all of this available on your Destination Wedding site, so your guests can always just go there. We're going to have an email series set up where we're going to send that out to them. So again, this is an optional step to do the printed invites. A lot of people really like those as keepsakes. So a lot of couples do opt to still send those.
We do get asked, yes, should we do the formal invites? Should they be or printed? Personally, I think printed is a nice touch. Again, it's not a must. If you absolutely want to save a buck, plus it is kind of time consuming, then you would opt for just not doing them at all. Question number 5, where is the best place to have a destination wedding?
Well, Alden, that depends on your budget, where your guests are coming from, and the vibe that you're looking for. We absolutely love Mexico. It is our specialty. We live here. We travel all over Mexico. We just got back from San Miguel and Mexico City. So
highly recommend.
Yes, so we absolutely are a huge fan of Mexico, but that doesn't mean that Mexico is the right fit for every couple. And we're always going to be upfront and honest with you about that because it really does depend on those things, what your budget is, where guests are coming from, and the vibe that you're looking for. Now, with that being said, Mexico is probably the most popular option for a destination wedding, followed by the Caribbean. So we've also seen couples choose spots in Europe. We are familiar with a lot of, destinations, Italy, Portugal, Spain, so on and so forth. But Mexico and the Caribbean tend to be the most popular.
That's the biggest, one of the first questions we're going to ask is where are a lot or most of your guests going to be coming from? If you live in the West Coast, then, you may want to consider somewhere closer. If you're on the East Coast, your Caribbean options could open up a lot more. And that doesn't mean we want to step on your dream at all. If you live in the West Coast or Midwest and you want to get to the Caribbean, we definitely can make that happen. It's just a matter of how important is the ease of travel for you and your guests going to be to that destination. Question number 6, is a destination wedding actually cheaper?
This is such a hot topic, and you see this talked about a lot online. Destination weddings definitely can be cheaper, but it really, again, depends on what you want. Keep in mind that it's a wedding, it's a vacation, and it's an experience for your guests. So with destination weddings, we can see them start around $10,000. They can go, the sky's the limit with a destination wedding though, depending on the experience you want, the vibe you want, all of those things. Everything is truly customizable, just like a regular wedding is.
Yeah. Like I said, a lot of the packages have the bare essentials that's included. It might be chairs, tables, a venue, staff to service that venue. But beyond that, the sky is the limit as far as how expensive or pricey it can go.
So I guess I would ask, what does your Pinterest board look like?
Yeah. Question number 8, Question number 7, what is the average cost of a destination wedding?
Yes, the average cost, most weddings fall between $10,000 and $30,000. Now, again, can be more than that. We have seen slightly lower than 10, although not too much lower. That is pretty much the baseline of having a celebration, especially if you're going to have, 20, 30 or more people. But the cost really depends on your guest count, the resort itself, the package you chose, and the customizations. Now, if you are really wondering, you're like, well, that's kind of a vague answer and that's a big spread. It totally is, I get you. So on our website, vacationtravels.com, we have a button called Wedding Cost Calculator. You can go on that sheet, you can put in what some of your preferences are, what things are really important to you, and it's gonna help give you an estimate of the cost. Now, keep in mind, it is just an estimate, but it'll help you get an idea of where the costs tend to add up and what things are an extra cost.
The only thing I'll add to that is depending on the number of room nights that are booked, you can earn some concessions back, and or even a free ceremony or free wedding package included if you have hit a certain minimum number of nights.
Keep in mind that those are refunded to you as a credit after travel. So you don't want to bank on those being included in your pre-travel budget, but if you have the money to front and you're okay offsetting it on the back end, or you have a family member pitching in, we're always, again, going to shoot straight with you and be very transparent about concessions, because we don't want you to overestimate on these.
We always consider that the cherry on top. Don't have it in your initial numbers, but if you get it at the end, great. Question number 8, what travel requirements should guests know?
Yes, so this would be things like valid passports, timelines, and insurance. So many people underestimate the value of travel insurance, and I can't tell you, we do occasionally see it where people opt out of travel protection and then something comes up in the last 30, 60 days, maybe it's a medical issue, there's a death in the family, and then they can't make it. Well, if you don't purchase travel protections, wedding reservations are made as a group, so those are non-refundable. So it is very important to protect your trip, protect your investment. With wedding couples, you also want to opt for wedding insurance, because that protects your wedding investment in addition to the travel protection protecting your travel investment.
Really, the timeline is so far out, a lot can happen. So again, I get it. Maybe you've traveled previously where you didn't have coverage or you never use it. I get it. But the simplest way to break it down is that any changes or adjustments are very difficult to make if you don't have any kind of coverage.
The closer you get to travel, and you may be thinking, well, it's my daughter, it's, maybe it's somebody, there's no way I wouldn't be there. You never know what's going to happen. And in addition to covering that part of the trip, keep in mind that it also provides medical coverage for you in the instance that you were to roll an ankle or trip and fall or get hurt on an excursion in destination, because your U.S. medical insurance is not going to cover you in Mexico or Caribbean or wherever you're traveling. So also provide some extra comfort there.
Question number 9, how do you choose the right resort?
Yes, this is such a huge decision when you're planning a destination wedding, and the biggest reason you want to work with a certified destination wedding specialist that really understands the resorts and your needs and desires, because we want to we're not just looking at how pretty is the resort. We're looking at what is the guest experience like? How good is their groups department? How about their wedding team? Are they responsive? Are they knowledgeable? How long are the transfer times? Do they have good reviews? Are they recent? How good is the food? Are the rooms guest friendly? We want to consider, do they have adjoining rooms, or do they allow kids? So many factors go into matching you to the right resort and venue, and this is really your biggest value in working with a trusted professional.
If you do work with us on that initial consultation, we're going to dive into a lot of what is important to you, and we ask you a bunch of questions. And the main reason, and it may sound simple, we just want a beach somewhere where friends and family have something to do, but believe me, there are a lot more items to it. Like Sarah said, what's the staff to guest ratio? Are there any late night options to do? If people want to explore offsite, what are their options there? So there are a lot that goes into making that decision, and we'll definitely help you make that choice. Question?
I was going to say, we take that process really seriously too, because it's not only are you, the couple, making a huge investment in your celebration, but all of your friends and families are making an investment in attending and going on that vacation. So we are very thorough in that screening process. We really want to get a very good feel of exactly what you're looking for and present some options to you that fit that. And of course, we talk through all of those things.
Yep. You may have traveled a lot, but for a lot of your friends and family, this might be their first time traveling internationally. They don't know what to expect. And having a good experience is really important. You don't want them to leave to have a sour taste in their mouth because it was not the right resort. Question number 10, should you work with a certified destination wedding specialist?
Well, absolutely, especially if you want step-by-step guidance through the travel and the wedding planning. Unlike a traditional travel agent or destination wedding travel agent, Alden and I are certified destination wedding specialists. We have a wedding planning, event planning background and certifications in addition to the travel side. So we help give you peace of mind, we give you time back, a smooth guest experience, confidence in your decisions, and a wedding you can actually be present for and enjoy without having to deal with all the logistics, without having to deal with, Uncle Tom who says, oh, I don't like this, or what about this? You're not dealing with any of those questions. They all come to us. We handle all of it. We make sure your guests are in the loop, and because we want you to truly be present and enjoy your celebration. That's what it's all about.
It's not a simple decision. We say it all the time. There are a lot of elements that go to a destination wedding. It ultimately comes down to, do you want somebody that you can refer to? Because there's going to be hundreds of questions that you, your friends and family are going to have. Do you want to have someone to refer to answer this and guide you guys along the way? Most would say yes. So if you're considering a destination wedding, we would love the opportunity to introduce ourselves. We have a complimentary consultation. Take some time, get to know you. What is your vision for a destination wedding?
Yes, and most importantly, you want to make sure that you really like and connect with your planner and who you're working with. We're going to be working together for a year and a half. If you don't like me and you find me annoying, probably not going to be the best fit. You want to find someone that you enjoy, you can enjoy it, you can have fun with, and really just lean into that process. So,
I hope you guys have a great rest of the week. We will talk soon.
safe travels.